to Clarity on Fire, a podcast for people who know what they don't want out of their life and career, but aren't sure what they'd rather be doing.
In a world where it's easy to exist, but hard to feel alive, we, Kristen
and Rachel,
two certified life and career coaches, are here to help you cut through the information overload, get unstuck, and focus not just on how you can have a career you're passionate about, but how to create a whole life that feels fulfilling.
So join us here, where we serve up inspiration and down-to-earth wisdom in a way that only two best friends can.
We want you to experience the relief of knowing that, yes, you're allowed to want more out of your life and career.
And no, you don't have to wander through the dark anymore. Our job is to light the fire that shows you the way. Let's go. Hi.
Hey.
Okay, if you're an avid listener of this podcast, then you might have randomly heard us as an aside at some point during a recent episode. I'm not even sure which one it was.
A few weeks ago.
Used to each other. Oh, should we bring back our course about people pleasing at any point? This is how good we are at business planning, obviously.
And then we actually thought about it. We're like, yeah, we should
do that. So we're dropping in. Well, no, we were already here. That's not accurate. We're letting you know that we did decide we're going to bring back our course about people pleasing. We're going to do it next month. Date and information to come. However, if you are interested in a month-long course that's a hybrid of like once a week, we put out a lesson. It's not long. It's not even that involved. There's some prompts.
Mm-hmm.
There's a forum where you can ask questions and get answers from me and Kristen.
Starts out introspective, and then it quickly becomes action-oriented.
Action-oriented, because if you cannot get over people-pleasing, which is what this course is called, getting over people-pleasing, if you're just thinking about it.
You have to do some stuff. You have to change some things.
To get uncomfortable.
Mm-hmm.
So if you like the idea of doing that in an encouraging environment,
in a group setting too, with some accountability.
Shepherded by Kristen and me.
Step by step.
Then you might consider getting on the VIP list so that when we have more info, you will be the first to know. And when we open the doors to the course, you will be able to get it potentially at a cheaper rate and be one of the first people to get a limited number of coaching sessions that will probably bundle with the course. But we can't obviously just give those away like candy or offer them like candy. So if you're like, oh yes, I would like to get over people pleasing in the month of August.
Mm-hmm.
It's intense, but it's not overwhelming, because I think we know people pleasers are also people who are sensitive, who easily get overwhelmed and bogged down, and probably have already spread themselves too thin with commitments to other people. So it's not an overwhelming amount of work. It's just enough to help you really move the needle and take it from, like, I don't know, let's say you're like a 9 on the people pleasing. You could come out of it like a 4 or something.
Which is a big change.
That's like a 50% increase.
I got to tell you, I have multiple clients who, as part of our one-on-one coaching, we're bringing in that course. I'm having them go through it step by step.
Yes.
And in addition to the other coaching process.
Yes, people who do one-on-one coaching with us for the full 6 months get access to that course.
Yep. And I'm guiding a few of them through it right now. And I got to tell you, it's making a big, they're having some serious realizations about themselves
and their parents.
They are doing some uncomfortable things, but it's making a big difference.
Yeah.
And we haven't run this course in 2 years. And I don't know when we're going to do it again.
Who? Literally,
you see how we business plan. We had an idea in the middle of a podcast and then decided, I guess we'll do that. So I don't know when we're going to do it again.
This is your shot.
No promises.
And of course, if you're someone who's done it before and you'd like to go through it again, I guess you can also throw your name on the VIP list, though you don't need to because you've already bought it. So when we actually launch it, you could just reach out to us and say, oh, hey, can I be added to the group of people who's going through it this time? And we would be happy to do that. Yeah. No need to do that now, though.
There might be some of you who are like, oh, that really helped. And then I slip back into some bad patterns, I could use some accountability again.
Now I want to go from a 5 to a 2.
Yeah, true.
And because it's a lifelong journey.
True.
And that's also a thing that when you buy a course from us, you get like forever access to it. It's not like it doesn't expire.
Have that content forever. You're always part of that. So,
okay. So if you're excited about the prospect of getting over people pleasing for a month with us, and then we do a live hangout at the end, by the way, where we, answer all of the live questions. We dive deeper into stuff. We just hang out, have fun at the end. Then you should definitely put your name on the VIP list, which we will link to in the show notes. Okay. Or you can go to clarityonfire.com and go to this episode on our site on the podcast
It'll be there
tab,
too.
and you can access that link from there too.
And we'll keep reminding you.
Well, this is not the first time you will be hearing about it.
But for those who are especially eager and you want to be the first to know, this is for you.
Yeah. Okay. Krachel.
Okay. Dear Krachel.
You want to just dive in and read the first question?
We have 2 long questions and one really short one, but they all have probably long answers.
I wouldn't even call these first 2 long. We've read some really long questions before. These are incredibly average.
That's true.
But okay.
Okay. Dear Krachel, I'm in 12th grade, but I don't have much interest in normal studying. I'm from a family with a teaching background, so all I saw since childhood was books and pens and papers all around me. I'm struggling to find the right career choice for me. My very conservative parents are pressuring me to choose a stable career like engineering, teaching, and so on. But I would hate to do that work. I don't know what fields I have talents in, which is another barrier in front of me. All I know is I love music. What should I do? Oh, and then I'm sorry in advance. I'm going to mispronounce her name, but I'm going to try. This is from Giamhi.
It could be Giamhi. It could be Giamhi.
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 And I'm sorry in advance, but it's a beautiful name. I just can't.
I even tried to Google how to pronounce it, and Google would not help me. So, right. Love it. Don't know how to say it. Forgive us.
You can correct us if you would like to.
Also, happy graduation, because
that's a big one.
You must have just graduated or are about to. Commencement.
Big milestone.
Maybe this should be her commencement address from us.
Oh, I love that.
That's what this is.
I love it. Tailored to you.
Speaking of Taylor, she just did give a commencement address for NYU. Did you
can you imagine if she had given our graduation?
I actually really recommend. Well, no, I would have died.
I actually would have attended it.
I would have attended. That's true. We didn't go.
I have no idea who spoke at ours.
Well, we went to our personal graduation.
We went to the individual, the specialty or the school within the bigger university. We didn't go to the whole university one.
No, it was also raining or thunderstorming. It was really hot.
People. Nobody would have even seen us.
Anyway, no one cares. But I'm just saying that Taylor Swift did do recently a commencement address for NYU, and it was really great. And it's worth watching the whole 20-minute video on YouTube. Okay. So the first...
Don't compare us to her.
And she had time to plan that out and actually write it. Sure. And we didn't really...
And probably a lot of help writing it.
No. Taylor writes all of her own stuff.
You didn't think she got any input?
She might have had her team. Oh, she might have had someone read it or edit it, but that was all her work. Okay. Anyway, I'm Taylor Swift's fiercest defender. Okay. So the first thing is, please. And I know that every older person listening to this, and by older, I literally mean 23, I mean 33, I mean 48, I mean
67.
Yes. Every person older than you who's listening to this is probably thinking the same thing, or will agree when we say what we're about to say, which is, please don't become someone who's reaching out to us in 15 years because you decided to give in to the pressure of, I guess I'll just please the people around me and pursue a life that they think is right, and then end up miserable and unfulfilled because I wasn't true to my own desires. It never, ever, ever ends well. Okay, there's not a story where that actually ends up making you feel good. You already know that, or else you wouldn't be asking the question.
You very clearly said, I would hate to do that work. You're not even ambiguous.
Right. And she's so young to know that too, which is impressive. A lot of people
may not know what you do want, but you're very clear on what is not going to be a fit for you. And so if you decide to do that anyway, because of external pressure, because you want to please your parent, because you want to do the quote unquote safe thing,
it's not going to work.
It's not. And again, I almost wish we could like open up the lines of everybody listening because I feel like so many people who are a little further in their careers
are yelling
like, don't do it,
don't do it
because they did it.
Yeah.
And now they're like,
it took so much longer to undo everything that I got myself into because I went off my own track.
Mm-hmm.
It does take longer think about it. It takes a second to break a bone and it takes months to repair it.
Yep.
It's the same when you are that young and you have the opportunity to just never get out of alignment in the first place. And then you do. Oh my God, it's going to take years potentially to get back to where you are right now.
Because right now you get to point your ship where you want it to go instead of going in a direction and then having to
reroute,
turn around and change direction.
Yeah.
And with that said, so first of all, I don't think we could be clearer. Please do not do something, pick something just because somebody else thinks it would be good for you. And you know it's wrong in your gut. Please do not.
Never do that. Never date someone from that place.
We don't usually give hard and fast, do this or don't do this advice, but I'm giving it here.
Yes.
With that said, I just said, you're at a point where you get to point your ship where you want it to go. You don't have to have all of these answers yet.
Absolutely not.
At 18 years old, I would be shocked if you did have a really clear idea of what you wanted to do. And frankly, I would expect that to change.
I would absolutely.
Because you have the next phase of your life, whether you're going to college next, whether you're going to start working next. My hunch from the family you described that's very, very into education tells me
and like conservative background. Yeah, you're probably going to college.
You're probably going to college. But regardless, whatever experiences you have next, you're going to learn so much about yourself, about what you do like, about what you don't like. And so even if you were dead set on doing something right now, you might get some experience over the next few years that changes your mind.
And that's okay.
I actually think you're in a really great spot right now by knowing there's a few things that I know are not right for me.
Great.
There's one thing I know I love, and there's other things that I'm not sure about. That's a really great place to be right now, because the next phase of your life is all about exploring options.
It should be. That's
learning about yourself, learning about what you do and don't like, gaining new experiences that you could not have gotten up until this point. You are legally an adult now. You legally get to make all kinds of decisions that you literally couldn't make before.
Mm-hmm.
You had to get other people's consent and other people's input. So the fact that you're at this spot right now, if you could approach this next phase from a place of real curiosity and real desire to try new things and evaluate how they feel and explore a little bit, you will get so much clarity about some of the decisions that you'll be making years from now that you don't have to make right now. There's no reason that you have to know with certainty at 18 what career path you want to pursue.
No, so I would hope that college, if that's where you're headed, or wherever you're headed next, gets to be about you not necessarily feeling pressured to define exactly what you want to do, but letting yourself have a number of experiences. That might mean taking a variety of classes. That might mean having actual hands-on experience with volunteering or internships or getting involved in like different extracurriculars or whatever, so that you get to sample what is out there and know that if you come out of college still not knowing what you want to do, you would be in the 98th percentile of everyone else who also doesn't know what they want to do.
Majority.
And that's okay. It's about gaining experience and exploring. It's not about knowing for sure. Life is very rarely about knowing anything for sure. You don't need to know. And I understand you're probably going to have to pick a major, and that's okay. I'm going to give you practical advice. Don't pick something you hate you don't have to pick something that you're sure about. Hardly anyone actually ends up in a job that's directly for years and years using their major. It's not how, just pick something, okay?
Truly.
As long as you don't hate it, and as long as you're not picking it from a place of peer pressure or parental pressure or whoever is pressuring you, as long as you are picking it and it's something that you feel capable of spending your time doing, you don't have to love it. It's fine. Like, get a degree. No one cares. Beyond the fact that you have a degree, no one cares what it's in for the most part. I mean, unless you're trying to get a job in engineering and you're an English major, you might have a problem. But beyond that, you already know you don't like engineering. Great. Don't get a degree in that.
Exactly.
And music. Let's bring that up because you said one thing I know is I love music. I don't know yet, and you might not know yet. This might be what the exploratory phase is about. Who knows if you actually want to study music or if you just enjoy it. You could try to study it, and if you end up hating it, that doesn't mean you hate music. It might just mean that you don't like putting the pressure on it. You don't like having to like put grades and all of that, it just can take the joy out of it, right? But you might not know until you try to explore it from a more potentially academic place, whether or not that's something you actually want to lean further into. Maybe music is just your outlet. Maybe you want to drop out of college and become the next Dua Lipa, and I would be happy for you if that's what you decide to do. But you need enough experiences to discern, because that's what being a young person should be all about, is honing your ability to discern what you want and what works for you and what's a fit and what isn't. You might need enough experience in the next couple of years to discern how, if at all, do I want that to be a part of my life? Do I want it to be professional? Do I want it to just be fun? Any answer you come to is okay.
Yeah. So explore it in different ways. Explore it formally. Take a class, a formal class or two. Maybe go listen to live music or learn an instrument or whatever version of expressing or enjoying music feels most exciting to you. Just try it out and see how it fits. And again, I want to emphasize what Rachel just said. If you try to take a class or if you try to join a band or if you try to do something that is related to music and you don't love that, don't make it mean maybe I don't love music as much as I think.
No.
The way you do something has so much impact on your degree of satisfaction in it.
Yeah.
So you might learn, I love expressing my passion for music in this way, and I kind of hate it in this other way. And that's all valid.
Totally.
Okay. One more thing that I feel is important to say here. This next phase of your life, again, if it's in college, which sounds likely, but even if it's in taking a job,
a gap year,
whatever that is, in addition to exploring some possibilities and discerning what you like and what you don't like and not having to come up with the answers too quickly, I also really want to encourage you to take this time to create a little bit of healthy separation from your family. And I don't mean that in like cut them out. That I don't think we need to do that.
No.
I'm saying the next phase is about you exploring your own independence and making your own choices and not feeling so much pressure from anyone else, even your parents, to have a lot of input on those. And sometimes something like college is helpful because you're physically not living with them anymore, or maybe you're out of state, or there's actual physical distance.
Yeah.
But even if it's not, I want you to think of it as I'm becoming more of my own independent person and I can listen to their feedback, but I don't have to take it in.
No, you're not a kid anymore. Good news and bad news. You're not a kid anymore.
Mm-hmm.
So you're not obligated to take anyone's feedback other than your own. Now, that can get dicey when someone's paying for your college, when someone's paying for your rent because you still live with them or whatever. And I would not let that be something that, because I know a lot of parents will hold that over a kid.
Sure.
And you know what? We could have an argument about whether or not that's fair. Well, if I'm paying for your college, then you're going to major in something I want you to. First of all, I think that's a real shitty parenting move, to be honest. I don't think it ever works. I think it eventually backfires. However, you might have to make some really hard decisions as a young adult about, okay, what is my alignment to myself worth to me? And do I need to go get a job and move out and live on my own and like really kind of struggle my way into being an adult so that I can make all of my own choices? Yeah, there's plenty of people who decided that was more important to their autonomy and their individuality was more important to them than like, taking a free ride, so to speak, but having to live under certain rules. You get to decide all of that now because you're an adult. And I'm not going to judge you for whatever choice that you end up making.
No. I'm thinking of a client I had a few years ago, and that was his exact situation. His parents said, we will pay for you to go to school if you major in blank. I forget what it was, finance or something.
I hate it. I really want to scream.
And so he did. And then no surprise, he comes to coaching.
Yeah.
And now I didn't really want to study that, but that's all they would pay for. And we had to start thinking about, okay, well, if you want to get a whole new skill set, then he was starting to look at grad schools, which he was going to have to pay for. I'm like, we could have just done that the first time.
Yeah, I know.
Now you still have to pay for your school. You may not have even needed to go to grad school. We'd studied something you wanted in the first place. So you don't need to put yourself in that situation of getting something for free, quote unquote, that you don't want in the first place.
Yeah. If you're getting something for free that you hate, I would really question whether it's worth it.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I also want to just make one.
I just hope you're not in that situation, but I've seen it happen. So we have to address it.
There's so many. There's a million situations she could be in, and we're trying to just address enough of them that something lands with her. Okay, before we move on to the next question, I just want to speak a word to the older people listening to this who are like, this is really sweet advice for this high school graduate. I'm like, everything we've said in some way, you could also apply to yourself. And if you're not doing it, you're not being creative enough in your thinking. Okay. Yes, it's easier to explore life when you're 18 than when you're 33 and you have a mortgage and you might have a child or something. I understand that. And that's no excuse to not give yourself permission to explore, because life can always be about exploring and gaining new experiences and giving yourself permission to cast off from people who are trying to pressure you into doing life a way that you don't want to do it. There's no age at which it's inappropriate to stop doing that.
Mm-hmm. I am thinking of a blog I wrote a while back, which I can't remember if we brought in the podcast or not. And essentially it was how to build your own life curriculum. Like,
I'll link to it. I don't know if we brought it on the blog or on the podcast.
I can't remember now.
We probably did.
But you don't have to go back to school. You can build your own quote unquote curriculum by piecing together different things that you're interested in and finding ways to explore them in a way that's most exciting to you and maybe also fits into your life better. You don't have to have a formal education to learn about something and explore something. So I agree. This is not just relevant to high schoolers or college students at all. But you have to be a little bit more creative if you're further along in your career. Also, can I just say that I love that we have high schoolers listening to our podcast? I just feel like
it makes me so happy.
It makes me so happy to know that we've got some introspective,
young people,
proactive, forward-thinking, self-aware
Gen Z
teenagers listening. That just makes me so happy
and makes me feel elderly. Thank you for that.
I have a brother who's not even 21 yet, so every day he makes me feel elderly. Well, he's turning 21 this month.
Yeah, officially in a few days as the time they're listening to this.
Wild.
Yep. Yep. He was 5 when we graduated college. So
again, every day makes me feel old.
Wait, was he really 5? No, he was a little younger than that.
He was
4? No, not when we graduated college, Kristen.
Oh, college. No, he was older than that. Yeah, it was me.
Whatever. He was like 8 or 9. Still, he was a very small child in elementary school, and now he's a drinking adult. Okay. All right. On to the next.
Okay.
This one's very short. Dear Krachel, what do I do when I'm burned out and I'm not sure if any job will reignite my passion? Summer.
This feels like a 2-part question, but it's only a 1-part question, if you ask me. So
Yes.
The two parts seem like they're, what do I do if I'm burned out?
How do I reignite my passion?
And yeah, what if I am afraid no job will reignite my passion? It's not actually about reigniting your passion yet.
No.
We have to deal with this burnout first, because here's the thing.
No job can
Yep.
okay, but
Yep.
I have to say it. I have to say it. Okay. Like
somebody has to say it.
someone has to say it. I just really need to say it. I'm afraid you're not going to say it. And it needs to be said. I'm like dying to say this. Like, please say it. No job is the answer to burnout. Hear me now. No job is the solution to burnout. And now we will tell you why.
Yeah. And here's why. Burnout and passion cannot coexist.
No.
If you are feeling burnt out, you don't have the capacity to reignite your passion.
Yes.
That's like saying, I haven't slept in 3 days. How do I reignite my energy?
My zest for life.
You don't.
You sleep.
You gotta sleep.
You have to sleep.
You're operating at such a deficit that we can't expect the high levels of motivation and positivity and energy and passion. Nope. You're trying to jump too far.
It's unhealthy. It is also like saying, I just went through a really terrible divorce. It has sapped my entire soul. Let me just jump into a new dating relationship and see if that reignites my mojo. No, you need a break to find yourself. This is why there are so many movies about women getting their mojo back after a divorce.
Yes.
Okay? Because
Yes.
you need to recharge, rediscover your mojo, and then you bring that to the next relationship. This is where we go wrong. We think that a job is supposed to reignite our passion, but it's our job to reignite our passion. Then we bring that to a job.
But first, if you're feeling burnt out, you have to heal from the burnout first.
Yes.
I know we give a lot of analogies, but I want to ask this question from a more physical sense than a emotional sense, and you will see why it's so crazy. What do I do when I've been sick for a really long time, but I'm not sure if I'm ever going to be passionate about exercising again? No, you're like, this is
Maybe if we just found the right workout, we could circumvent the fact that you're chronically ill and have no energy.
Right.
No,
you haven't fully healed yet. We can't move intensely forward until we've healed where you're at right now. So that's why I think this is actually just a one-part question. First and foremost, what do you need to do to heal from your burnout? And then once you're back at least to neutral, now let's see if we can reignite some passion. But this is a stair-step approach. We can't do it simultaneously. This is like the people who they had a really terrible day at work and they're so annoyed and drained by work in general and they're like, I'm going to go find a new job tonight. And they just like look through all the job profiles and none of them are exciting. Why? Because today you hate working, period. You're not going to find something that's exciting to you on a day when you wish you could quit everything. We have to get you into a different mindset. We have to get you into a different kind of vibration so that you can access passion.
Do you want to know how many of my clients in the last year have come to the conclusion that the only way for them to figure out what their next step is to take a sabbatical? A lot. Like, I mean, I'm just thinking of 5 off the top of my head, and that's just the people I'm able to think about right now. I think there's more. And there's one I'm trying.
I have 2 or 3 that I'm thinking of right now.
Oh, yeah,
too.
wait. I just thought of like 2 more. And there's one I'm trying to convince right now. She knows she needs it. It was her idea. And I'm like, I'm just the biggest fan of this idea. And in the best possible sense, just pushing her toward it. And I think eventually she will cave, because if it's between me and someone else and my willpower against theirs, I think I'm going to win.
Especially because you're actually advocating for what
she really wants.
She really wants
Yeah.
and needs.
She wants to say yes. I'm just gonna keep, putting the heat on until she does. Because she can do it. There's absolutely no reason she can't. It's just fear. It's just fear about money that she has plenty of. So I'm not saying you have to take a sabbatical in order to heal from burnout. I'm saying a lot of people get to the point.
For some people, that would create more burnout, to be honest. That would be more stressful.
Well, yeah, because it might put you in financial stress. And not ideal.
Exactly. You have to take your own situation into account, but you do have to heal the burnout some way, somehow.
Yeah.
And if you feel like you've tried everything in whatever work you're doing now, and the pressure is too intense and the workload is too crazy and the people are too toxic, the way you might need to heal your burnout is you might need to get a bridge job.
Honestly, I am imagining myself skipping down an aisle like I'm a flower girl at a wedding, just absolutely positively raining petals on people. And the petals that I am raining on you right now are permission. And I am giving you permission to effing quit your job if you want to quit your job. Take a break if you want to take a break. Take a sabbatical if you want to take a sabbatical. Get a bridge job if you want to quit your stupid ass job and you want to get a bridge job where you can just clock in and clock out and you don't give a shit what's happening. I want you to cancel half of your meetings every week and be like a lazy employee, because that might also heal your burnout, right? Mm-hmm. Stop over giving so much. Why are you working 55 hours a week when you could be working 40?
Also, if you're that burnt out, are you a people pleaser? Do you need to join our course? Are you taking on too much and that's why you're burnt out? Mm-hmm. Do we need to heal some people pleasing? Because maybe it's actually not everyone else's expectations that you're taking on. Maybe it's yours. It's your perception of their expectations.
Yeah.
And it's your own expectations. And maybe we need to lower your expectations for yourself.
Maybe you've been using a job as a place to hustle for worthiness, which is what most of our clients start out doing, which is why we have to heal that before we can heal anything else. Because if you see your job as an outlet for your addiction to getting validation, then guess what? You're going to burn yourself into the ground trying to feel like you're good enough.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So there's some healing to do.
Clearly, you see how much there is to do? Mm-hmm. You could take a sabbatical and be coached during that sabbatical, and you might come out a completely new person. Or you might literally just float on a lazy river, literally or figuratively, for 3 months and just do absolutely nothing. And
then come back a whole person.
That's appropriate. Let me also speak a word. I am so angry right now. I want to speak a word about how ridiculous the expectation is that we should be constantly working.
I was just thinking that maybe it's because we were just talking to a high schooler, and I was thinking we don't get summer breaks. We don't get holiday breaks.
In France, they take 7 weeks off during the summer. Everyone.
Your entire adult life for, I don't know, 40 years straight.
You have to take your own vacation, but it's literally a week or two. It's not 3 months.
No.
It's not a whole season. I think we had it right when we took a whole season off. A whole season. I don't care which one you pick. I don't care.
Why do school kids get a real break
and we don't?
And adults don't? It doesn't make any sense. So you might have to give yourself that break. You might have to give yourself a summer vacation.
Yeah.
Or a sabbatical.
Or a winter ski cabin.
You can even do it while working. And that's kind of what a bridge job is. It's let's keep the lights on. Let's keep some money flowing in while I give myself a little bit of a mental health break so I can recover and get more focused and energized for whatever is next.
It is not natural. It is not healthy. It is not appropriate to never take a break. Work and rest are synergists, not opposites. You need rest in order to be able to work. And we live in a society that is obsessed with productivity and work to our own detriment. And we are killing ourselves, women especially, getting chronic illnesses, burning themselves out because a lot of us are not aligned to this constant productivity. It's not healthy. It's toxic. You might have to take your own break because we live in a system that's not going to necessarily understand your desire to do it. However, there's also not going to be a danger in you taking a break. Ask Emily Lou, who we had on the podcast back in late February of this year. Go back and listen to her talk about that. We brought that up and she was like, oh my God, stop worrying about the quote unquote gap on your resume. It's not going to matter. It's not going to matter. And I'm sorry, when you're 80 years old, are you going to be like, oh, I'm so upset about that gap on my resume that I had when I was 30.
Or you're going to be remembering that
was the best summer ever.
Right. And the ability to just live for a little while.
Right. Oh, I'm sorry. You got so busy working and trying to survive that you never actually lived. That's one of the 5 regrets of the dying. Look it up. Okay. Have I sassed people enough?
Have you rained flower girl petals of permission everywhere?
Honestly, they started as petals and they ended as little blobs of fire. It just rained fire on them.
But yeah, to be honest, if you're really burnt out, even the idea of passion might exhaust you.
And as it should.
Because I think ideally one day I'd like to be passionate about my work, but that seems like a lot of work right now. That's how you know you can't focus on that first. So if we haven't convinced you that the most valuable thing you can do for yourself, for the long run, for the short term, for like your health period, is to take some kind of step back, some kind of break in whatever form you can fit in to heal, then I don't know what else we can say.
I want to assign Summer a homework assignment. Anyone who resonates with Summer also gets this homework assignment, okay?
Okay.
Read, watch, consume some piece of content about a person, probably a woman, getting her mojo back. Because there's a lot of great examples of, hey, maybe don't live as a husk of a woman. Because you're not sexy. You don't feel alive. You don't feel vibrant. You don't feel anything. Like,
if you don't know where to start with either Liz Gilbert or Glennon Doyle.
Eat, Pray, Love. Eat, Pray, Love. Mm-hmm. I mean, I'm telling you, if you've never read it, read it. Don't watch it. I mean, you can watch it, but like you're not really getting the experience. Listen to it on Audible. You will be soothed to the depths of your soul by her voice. I don't know, like Stella got her groove back or something. There's a lot of Google movies about women getting their mojo back. I guarantee you someone has made a list. I'm telling you, because you need inspiration for, oh yeah, this isn't how I'm supposed to live. Life is supposed to be fun. Life is supposed to be enjoyable. Life is supposed to be like juicy. You're supposed to be overflowing with energy and mojo that you then bring like a sparkly little beacon to every corner of your life. And burnout is the opposite of being a sparkly little beacon.
Mm-hmm. And what are you going to say in this job you're supposedly so passionate about when you're burnt out? You can't bring your mojo to the interview. You can't bring your mojo to that job. You don't have any.
Yeah.
We got to get that back first.
Yeah. I mean, like, no offense to men. I'm just not speaking to you right now. Like, if you want to be sparkly, great, go for it. I don't like that's.
I'm sure there's plenty of movies and books about men getting their mojo back too.
Easier for people.
Because I have multiple right now who are in a version of the same situation.
But it's just easier for them if you have like a fair amount of natural masculine energy to fit into the friggin' masculine work structure that we are fitting into. The reason women are more burnt out is because we don't fit into it as well. I will definitely link to our episode about masculine versus feminine energy because Summer and many women who are burnt out need to hear that.
But like, that's very just chemical to your body.
It absolutely.
Like, women don't deal with adrenaline to the same degree that men can.
We don't have testosterone.
We can't tolerate it in the same way. It has a worse physiological effect on the body.
So we become a husk much quicker than they do. And men
will get there too. Don't worry about it. But like women will get there quicker.
Yeah, we'll get there quicker, unfortunately. And you don't deserve to be a husk of a person. No one does. And so please don't be an 80-year-old woman, 85, whatever, 98 on your friggin' deathbed going, oh, I spent most of my life as a husk of a person just trying to survive. Absolutely not. Do what it takes for you to feel like you are overflowing with sparkly energy. Okay. That I don't care what you do. That's your priority. All right. I'm done. I'm out.
You can't be out yet. We have one more question.
I know. Figuratively, I'm out. And now I'm on.
And now I'm back on.
Okay. All right. Ready?
Okay. We just spoke to women. This one is a man who wrote in, but this is going to be relevant to anybody as well. So, Dear Krachel, after college, I went to business school and got really interested in a specific niche field of finance. I felt like I'd finally figured out what I wanted to do, like I had a clear direction. Once I graduated, I started applying for job after job within my chosen niche. I applied for at least 100 jobs, maybe more, and not a bite. Eventually, I gave up and took a job in a totally different field, and now I've been in that current line of work for over a decade. A part of me still has a dream of getting into the type of finance I'm passionate about. But after getting rejected so many times, and now having a resume that's not relevant at all, I'm obviously not feeling very hopeful. How do I know when a dream is a real possibility versus just a pipe dream? This is from Less Than Optimistic.
Okay. my first thought is not actually about his situation. It actually is a deeper thought about when do you take an assumption seriously and when is it literally just an assumption? You're just making a story up based on history. That's what an assumption is. An assumption is I have historical evidence that when I do something, this happens. And so therefore, I believe the future is going to be the same as the past. That's what an assumption is.
Yep. I tried this and it didn't work. And so it's never going to work. Or I did this and this happened. So that will always happen. Projecting your past into your future.
And hey, it makes sense. If your brain has a lot of evidence that when I do something, this is the result, it's going to start wondering, well, maybe this is just how it is. Maybe I will never get what I want.
That your feeling of hopefulness is dampened.
Yeah.
That's understandable.
Okay. But my test, one of my big tests for does this assumption actually have weight or merit is since the last time you tried that or did that, have any variables changed? Because if even one variable has changed, and I don't care if it's external, oh yeah, the job market changed a lot since the last time I tried that, or a few years went by, or I went through my own kind of like personal development process and I feel like a very different person on the other side of that. Okay, I have no idea where I was because a police detective just knocked on the door and interrupted our podcasting, canvassing the area because there was a burglary in the market downstairs at like 2 a.m. last night. And she asked if I heard anything. And I said, I did not, nor did the dog. And if something had been loud, she definitely would have addressed that. So unfortunately, I could not help her solve this case. But now I will be definitely keeping tabs on the development of this case.
Well, yeah, we'll have to keep everyone updated if it gets crazy. How often does a police detective come to your front door?
Literally has never happened to me.
Wild.
Thank God.
Yeah.
You don't want that to happen.
No,
if you
that's
can
not
avoid
a thing
it.
that you want to happen multiple times in your life.
I literally, the first thought I had when she said she was a police detective, I was like, all right, which one of my neighbors did something shady? And I was like ready for it. So anyway, okay. The point that I think I was trying to make was about, okay, if any variable changes, I don't know that an assumption is any longer valid. I'm not even sure, to be honest, that even if you can't identify a single variable that's changed, if that actually means that you can't get a different result next time.
I agree, because there's always different factors, even if you're not aware of them.
Yeah, I mean, just time in and of itself, even if you think nothing has changed, time is probably the biggest variable of all. So I just don't know that it makes perfect sense to make assumptions. It doesn't actually make a lot of sense to buy into them because there are constantly variables in flux, really small ones, big ones that you will never be aware of that can shift the outcome the next time around.
I can already point to multiple things that have changed for this person who wrote the question, in case he's having trouble thinking of what's changed. First of all, 10 years have passed.
That's so long.
You said you've been in this line of work for a decade. So you're a different person. Certainly the industry is different. The whole job market in general is different. Think about how much our working lives and the job market have changed just in the past few years. Because of the pandemic, after the pandemic, right now we're actually in a market where there's not enough people for the jobs. So we're in a very different situation than we were a year ago, 2 years ago, certainly 10 years ago. You have more experience than you are giving yourself credit for. You said, I have a resume that's not relevant. I don't believe that's true. I don't believe that there is nothing that you have done in the past 10 years that would help you be better at the type of work you want to be doing, even if it's not the exact match. Even if it's just, I've learned how to be a professional. I've learned how to do some management. I've learned how to be more organized in my project management. It could be more general skills, but you have a lot more to bring to the table now than you did 10 years ago, right out of business school.
I'm going to definitely link to, we already brought it up once, Emily's episode that we had. She's a recruiter. She blasted through so many assumptions and limiting beliefs people make around making career transitions or just getting your dream job. And from a more like technical place than Kristen and I usually coach people or address things. I'm also going to link to her masterclass, her free training on 7 steps to make a wildly successful career transition. Because
absolutely.
She actually literally blows through most of like the big things that most people are worried about just in that 1 hour alone. So,
yep.
Note to myself.
Yes, note
I'm
to
doing
that. So I also want to address the bigger question here, which was, how do I know when something is actually realistic or just a pipe dream, just in general? So we've already told you, in your situation specifically, I can already tell you it's going to be really different this time around. I can't tell you what the result is going to be, but I can tell you there's no reason to expect the exact same result as you had last time. Too many things have changed. Way too many things have changed. So we can treat it like its own new experience.
Mm-hmm.
But in general, how do you know when you're going after something that's maybe got real possibility versus that's just a pipe dream and I shouldn't put my energy toward it? Because I think that's a question a lot of people struggle with.
Can I be bold here for a second? Why am I asking for permission?
We've already stepped over that line today.
I don't need it. It goes contrary to being bold to even ask for permission. And I've already done it today.
Can I be bold, please?
If you feel like you need permission to be bold, you should probably join Getting Over People Pleasing next month. Okay.
Keep plugging it.
I'm going to keep plugging it. Because a lot of people need it.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I don't believe in pipe dreams. I don't believe in dreams that are impossible. Because, I mean, unless you have a dream that literally no one on planet Earth has ever had or ever achieved, then I might give you credit for not knowing if it's doable.
I still wouldn't say it's not doable.
I would just say...
because there's plenty of things that we didn't know were possible until the first person did them.
But I would give those people credit for doubting.
Sure.
More than I give people credit for doubting who have examples of people who are already doing the thing that they want to do. And I don't care how rare the thing you want to do is. I don't care if you want to be an astronaut. That's very hard.
Well, speaking of an astronaut, let's say you have a dream, I want to go to Pluto in my life. I'll be like, granted, nobody's done it. Seems like it might be impossible.
It's like really, really, really far to get there.
As of the technology we have today, I feel like you're going to die on the way there.
Aim for Pluto, land on Mars.
Sure. And also, if that's your dream, then okay, maybe it's a pipe dream, or maybe we just haven't found the right technology yet.
Or maybe you would be satisfied being an astronaut who never gets to Pluto because you did get to go to Mars.
But that's the only thing. That's the only kind of thing that's like it goes against what we know about physics so far.
Okay, so maybe but most of your dreams aren't that. No, I don't care.
Do people have this job in the specific kind of niche of finance that you're talking about? Yeah, you studied it. So it's a whole line of work.
There's a whole field where you can go study it, then you can do it. You know what I mean?
There were over 100 jobs for you to even apply for, which means the jobs exist. The people are doing those jobs. We have a lot of evidence that this is a perfectly reasonable thing to aspire to.
So nothing's a pipe dream. I don't care if you want to be the president. I don't understand why you would want to be.
Unless you want to go to Pluto, then maybe. That's it.
But not even then. Not even then. Because people who have those kinds of crazy aspirations do end up achieving really amazing things that they're maybe even more excited about than having gone to Pluto.
Once upon a time, we would have said, oh, that's crazy. That's a pipe dream to say you want to go to the moon. You can't
go to Mars. We just
go to Mars, right?
People now are landing. Let's not get into Elon Musk, but that's within our lifetime. Now they're landing crap on Mars and stuff. There is no such thing as a pipe dream. The only thing there is potentially getting too far ahead of yourself with the timeline.
Yes. When I first read this question, I was like, what are some things that could be a pipe dream? Like, let's say
you want to be president of the United States
and you're 23 and you want to be president next year.
You can't do that.
That's a pipe dream because legally you are not allowed.
But in
you
a
are not
couple
old
years,
enough by the actual law of the United States to be president.
But you could hold a local office at 18 in some places.
Sure.
You could work your way up to being president.
But is being president a pipe dream? Well,
no.
It's rare. I mean, we've only had 46 of them so far, but people have done it. So it's a possibility. Now, there's a difference here in, can I do something? And how could I do that thing?
Yeah. Remember how I just said you don't want to ask permission? Can I be bold? Can I do that? Can I implies you're asking permission. Nope. If you ask, how could I do that? What that implies is I've already decided I can.
Mm-hmm.
I've already given myself permission. I've already decided it's possible. Now I'm just working out the logistics. That's a totally different energy, way more confident, and way more likely to happen when you approach it from that place.
Yep. You get to decide ahead of time if something is possible for you. And I would say you have to decide ahead of time, frankly, so that you have the level of commitment and belief to do what it takes to get there. Now, I'm not saying just because something is possible, it's going to be easy or it's going to happen immediately, or you could just snap your fingers. For example, Rachel and I, we didn't ask 10 years ago, can we start a business? Is that a possibility?
Well, maybe at some point we said, we wonder if that's possible, but we didn't spend very long wondering.
We didn't spend very long.
Did it.
And then at some point we're like, we're just going to do that. How are we going to do this? And we've said it before, say it again. We had to have the belief early on that we're just going to keep doing this until it works.
Yeah.
And
no real
it took longer than we wanted it to take. Let me tell you.
I have a lot of goals that take longer than I want.
We didn't apply to 100 jobs, but we definitely put out a lot of products that didn't work. We tried a lot of marketing things that didn't work. We tried a lot of things that fell right on their face. And we could have said, well, I guess that means we're not meant to have a business. I guess that's the proof that we should just shut the doors and go get a different job. But at some point, if you're stubborn enough and you believe enough and you don't give yourself too much of an out, then eventually you can make it work, but it might not be on your timeline. And there might be some steps that you have to take between now and then in order to make that happen and to align the circumstances enough to attract that. But to call it a pipe dream is to give up prematurely for not enough good evidence, if you ask me.
Mm-hmm. Was it in the episode where we talk about, is it working? Is it not working yet? I can't remember where I say, like, no one gets to decide other than you whether something is done or is working, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, and there's so many people who give evidence that, yeah, I tried 1,000 versions of that before I got the light bulb that worked, right?
Like literally the light bulb.
That's
light
how it
bulb.
worked. Like the actual light bulb, Edison, all of that.
Right. You could have been like, I tried 100 times, it didn't work. Yeah, you had to try 1,000.
Right. So like you're the only one who gets to decide ultimately how long something takes and how bad you want it. And I think a lot of the time when people are successful, it's not because they're more talented. It's just because they had more tenacity. Mm-hmm. They just kept going longer than other people were willing to go. So I don't think anything's a pipe dream.
Can be a virtue.
I don't think anything's a pipe dream if you're kind of stubborn enough.
Mm-hmm.
So,
and again, you have evidence that this is a real thing. This is not a
someone
crazy
can major in it or get a graduate degree in it. It's definitely not crazy,
right,
to want to do it.
Clearly, this is a well-defined field.
Really niche degrees that you can get, but there are enough people interested in that it's worth the school offering it as a program,
putting together
of study,
curriculum and finding experts, and
hiring teachers or whatever. Like, yeah. And I'm not even saying that those are the only legitimate options, because they clearly aren't. If something is too niche for there to even be a course of study, I still don't think it's a pipe dream.
Nope.
Just don't believe in pipe dreams. And I don't believe in asking for permission. Well, like consent, yes. Permission, no.
Distinction.
Yeah. But like, this is really just about your attitude.
I really just wanted to bust through that big assumption and kind of dispel the whole myth about pipe dreams in the first place. Pipe dreams are just things that our fear took over, and maybe it seems kind of rare. So we just chalk it up to impossible. But if it's rare, somebody figured it out. Why are you that different? What makes you so less than the quote unquote rare people who figured it out?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's like the TLDR version of this one is, oh, maybe the thing that actually needs work is not, is this pipe dream real? It's why do I not, like, what is it about me that is doubting my ability to do that or to get there? And unfortunately, like we just told Summer about mojo and burnout, your job is to bring your mojo back. Your job is to get yourself to the point where you're audacious enough and maybe even a little bit like in the best way, like righteous enough to believe in your ability to get something that you failed at 100 times before. Like that's your job.
You have
That's
to
your inner work.
your self-belief, regardless of how many rejections you get. How many rejections did Liz Gilbert get from her first book? I know we're invoking her multiple times today, but I love it.
Same with any publisher who turned down Harry Potter. God, they're kicking themselves. I mean, really. But yeah, I mean,
some of the best works out there
just
got rejected over and over and over again before they exploded.
Yeah.
And changed the world.
Yeah. You got to have like the guts to see things more how you want to see them than how they are. That's really hard.
And by focusing on what's changed or what's different this time, you can change your mindset to more of one of belief than doubt. That's a really easy way to focus on the possibility. Yeah. Because your brain will tend to overgeneralize. It'll say, well, that was a similar thing, so I'm going to just lump it together with this similar thing and assume the same thing will happen. Because your brain, that's what our brains do. They generalize, they categorize, and they go for the path of least resistance. You have to consciously say, no. This is different. I am different. The situation is different. You have to look for all of the changed factors to give yourself more of that sense of belief. I mean, but you can do that.
For one last example, how long have I been single, Kristen? Like, it's been 84 years, to quote Rose in Titanic. And I do feel about 102, which I think she was at the end of Titanic. Beginning, whatever. If I was assuming that the last 84 years,
we're going to go with 84.
Was predictive of the next, I'm definitely not living another 84 years, the next 50, 60 or so, let's hope 60. Then I would be in a really bad bind because it's been a long time. However, how many variables have changed over the course of these years?
Oh my gosh.
How many variables have you seen changed in the course of the last 2 or 3 months?
How many have changed just within you?
I'm not even saying, I'm not even talking outside me. I'm just talking, I'm asking you to validate.
I can't count them. I can't count how many.
Yeah.
I mean, how many times, I feel like every week I'm saying things like, wow, old Rachel would never have thought of that.
Never done
all
that.
The time. So
I'm just kind of, so there's
that's what hope and faith is trusting that things can be different tomorrow than they have been in the past.
100%.
That's what resilience is.
And
I'm going to keep trying even in the face of adversity.
And not believing that the past is predictive of the future, especially in something as just ever changing as your life. I'm not talking about physics. Yeah, sure. I'm sure gravity usually works the way that you expect it to work, the way it always has. Your life is not gravity. Your life is not really applicable to those laws of physics in that way. And so, no, your past is not predictive of your future. And if you've been working on yourself, if you have seen a ton of variables change and you have the audacity, which I do, to be like, no, but like, that's just going to happen. That's when it does.
Yep.
That's why it does. Not what, both.
Yes.
It's when and it's why it does. So just, I
want to infuse you with a little bit of audacity.
Cocky. You're allowed to be a little bit cocky. And for those of you who are like, you need it the most.
Yeah, please join us for people pleasing.
Please join us for getting over people pleasing, because people who think, oh no, being that bold will make me look cocky. I'm like, no, you're underconfident right now. And so you aiming for cocky is probably just going to get you to like a normal level of audacious, which is what we need.
It's going to get you to confident. That's what we want. And again, being bold doesn't mean I think I'm better than someone else. Being bold just means I think I'm good enough for the things that I want.
Yeah.
I think
And I'm going to get them.
And it has nothing to do with anybody else. I'm not putting myself on a higher pedestal.
No.
I think that's what we fear. That's why we don't like the word cocky or overconfident or bold. Don't make it about anybody else. I deserve the things that I want in life, period.
Yeah.
Not more than anybody else, not less than.
Right. They're welcome to have what they want too. Great. The more the merrier. And I'm going to get what I want, period. Okay.
Wow. We had
a lot of feelings.
A lot going into this one. We did like a little bit of a lecture, but from a good-hearted place.
That was a good commencement address.
Yeah. Oh, that was the intention, wasn't it? At the very beginning.
Well, the first one was, but I feel like the whole thing was kind of a good commencement address. Don't you think?
I agree. I feel good about it.
Yeah. Like get your mojo
Maybe
back.
We could compete with Taylor.
Be a little bit audacious. Never that. I'm never that. I'm not that audacious. I would never. Wouldn't dream. Though if she's ever looking for a coach, hit me up. I would be dead on the floor and I would sign an NDA and I would never talk about it. It would kill me not to, but I would.
Oh yeah. Coach the stars. That could be our next.
Coach to the stars.
Could be a clear and fire face too.
That's our Pluto.
But you know what? People do it. People are doing it.
You know what? Yeah, exactly.
Famous people need coaches too.
They do. And I bet you a lot of famous people have coaches who are not nearly as good as us.
Probably not.
Yeah. So there you go. Audacity. Okay. Well, join us for Getting Over People Pleasing next month. If any of our call outs of if any resonated.
If any of this was like, ooh, I think that's me, join the VIP list at least. At least find out more. And we will be back next week with
a normal
person interview, sort of.
Yeah. Well, let's not spoil it.
Yeah.
It's probably obvious. Okay. See you then.
Bye.